Recently, I was in a meeting, and in this meeting, the individual whom I was conducting this presentation to said, "The presentation that you've brought is is phenomenal." They said, "The presentation is great, and we believe in the value of the presentation. We just don't believe that you can be the one who brings value." I'm going to tell you that that was a tough pill to swallow. That was very challenging for me to navigate that. But here's what I've found. I found that that did something to me. It really woke something up inside of me. And oftentimes when we hear so many voices that are around us saying, "You can do it. I believe in you. You're the best. You're this, you're that," right? So encouraging words that we hear around us. When we hear this for so long, when somebody says, "I just don't believe you're that guy," right? "I don't believe you are him," or "I don't believe you're the one," or as they specifically said, "I don't believe you can bring value." And I said, my goodness, how could this be? But what this did was that this put my back against the wall. And I said, "Watch me come out swinging." And that just forced me to have to really reevaluate and then elevate. And I think oftentimes we find ourselves in life in a situation where so many positive things are happening and there are so many positive voices. I think that's great. That's phenomenal. Like, you want to surround yourself with people that will nourish your vision. That is fantastic, and it's necessary and it's vital. But I also think what happens is that when we hear a voice, someone who says, "Hey, maybe you're not that good. Maybe you're not that guy. Maybe you're not that gal. You're not that person," we often are just like shocked and flabbergasted. There's this quote from Mike Tyson who says, "Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth," right? And this is true. And sometimes life will punch you in the mouth, and it'll make you feel like, "Wait a minute, what about all the hard work? What about all the things I've done? Like, don't you know about me? Don't you know what I've done?" And of course, it brings us to a point where we then have to make a decision. Are we going to cower away and hide because one person doesn't believe or doesn't know or isn't aware of the work we're putting in? Or are we then going to turn the heat up and say, "All right, fine, time for me to go to work even more, time for me to dedicate myself even more, time for me to focus even more"? And what I want to encourage you is to say even more, even now. Just make the move. Make the move. There could be 1,000 things that don't go your way, but there's one thing you can control, and that's the work that you put in, right? You can make the choice to say, "Okay, today I either A, go all in, or I'm going to just stand on the sideline because Joe Schmo said you ain't that guy. You're not that person. You ain't the one." And you get to write your own story. And this is what's fantastic about it, that when you stand up and you say, "Watch me," right? Watch what I'm going to do now. You get to write your own story, and you get to star in your own story versus making someone else to star and making the words that they say mean more or hold more weight than anything else in your life. There's a billion people in the world, right? And there's a bunch of people in your life that have your ear and that can tell you all these things, and they will hold weight. But sometimes it's that one person that you don't expect, that you least expect, that one opportunity that you're like, "For sure this is going to happen," right? And the person says, "You ain't the one, you ain't that guy, you ain't that girl." It could be on a social media post. It could be, walking down the street. It could be just this random person that says, "You ain't it." And that's going to be something that can easily send us in a position where we are in a downward spiral. I mean, how many people just turn off the comment section because they don't want to read, hear, know the negativity? And the truth is that you can block that noise for as long as you want, but it's better to learn how to manage that and say, "Okay, I'm not going to be everyone's favorite. Not everyone is going to listen, subscribe, rate, review when they tune in, or even if they tune in to Strategy Rewind. I get that. Not everybody's going to be like, 'I like this guy, Miguel.' I get that. Not everybody's going to like it. And not everybody's going to see the value in it. I get that. So I can do one or two things. A, I can ignore the reality that ain't ain't everybody gonna get it, right? Not everyone's gonna get it. Or I can ignore that, or I can confront that and I can say, okay, is it me? Is it something I'm doing? Is it something I'm missing to be able to bridge the gap? Or is it just that I'm not your cup of tea? Because I get it, right? I get it. Not everybody is everybody's cup of tea. And when you come into the realization that you're not everybody's cup of tea, it makes it much more easier for you to figure out, okay, then who am I working for, or who benefits from the work I'm doing, and how can I better serve them? Because if there's all these people in the world, but not all these people are going to tune in or going to like, love, or listen, then fine. Who is? Where are they? How can I serve them and give them the best of me so that they can appreciate it and value it, versus trying to somehow appease people that just ain't with it? And so when I heard those words, that I may not be the person to bring value, although my ideas did bring value. Yeah. Yeah, I was ticked off, man. I was. But then I said, watch what I can do. Watch what I can do. And I think this is the attitude you and we need to have this attitude, this chip in our shoulder. We need to have this type of attitude of, you think I'm not that person, huh? Oh, you think I am not him, right? That what you think. We got to have this type of attitude sometimes, because sometimes there are people that will doubt. There are people that won't believe. There are people that just don't know. And so sometimes the people that you don't know, you can school them and say, no, this is who I am. And they'll come to the realization. And then there are other people that be like, yeah, but I don't believe it. I got to see something. I got to see more. Not everybody that's a doubter is a hater. There are some people that just doubt and they need to see something in order to believe. And there are those that don't know. And those people, you can explain to them, you can school them and say, here it is. And they'll be like, oh, now I believe. And then there are other people that are just naysayers, right? They're like, no, maybe, but not you. That's what they'll say, right? And then you got those haters that were like, you never. But we have to be able to decipher that there are these people that have these traits, right? They have these limiting beliefs. They have these toxic traits. But just because they have those toxic traits, they may not necessarily be a toxic person, because you and I at one point may have been called damaged goods, damaged people, no good people. But then all of a sudden something happened and our habits change. And the same way you have habits that help you become better, some people have developed habits that make them become worse. So what I want to encourage you is that, versus labeling people and just saying you're this, you're that, you're a toxic person, you're no good, you're not going to make it, or you're just a hater, you don't understand, versus doing that, take the position of looking within yourself. And when you look within yourself, you ask yourself, can I bridge the gap? Maybe they are a doubter, maybe they are a skeptic, maybe they just don't know. So maybe I could bridge the gap and school them and bring them in into understanding of what I do, of who I am, how I serve, how I impact. But maybe it's just not the cup of tea. It's just not there for them. And so when you come to the understanding of where they fall in these categories, it makes it a lot much easier for you to do your job. So if you find yourself hearing these words, that maybe you don't bring value, or maybe that you're not him, that you're not her, that you're not that person, just look within yourself for a moment and say, okay, this is a moment where, even though I've been doubted on, I've been put shame on, right? People may not believe, but this is a moment where I can come out swinging and say, okay, here we go. Time to fight, time to turn it on, versus rolling over and thinking this is the time to die just because someone doesn't believe. The greatest voice in your life is going to be the voice in your mind. And if you mute that voice because of some negativity, and or you allow that voice to become poisoned because of some negativity, you will find it even much more difficult to accomplish your goals and have your breakthrough moment. This is why so many times we establish dreams and goals and ambitions, and we set up a plan and we begin to tell people, but unfortunately we tell the incorrect people. And then we have people that we are telling them, and they are either skeptic, they doubt that we can do it, or they are naysayers, or they are just toxic people, or they are just haters, and we're telling the wrong people. So it's necessary. Surround yourself with people that will nourish your vision. So yeah, I had one voice, one person that said, "Hey, you ain't the guy." And I said, "All right, check me out. Watch what I do." And I put in the work even more so. But I also understand it may not be a me thing, it may be a them thing. The voice in your head is the biggest voice you'll ever hear. So it's your choice to decide to either A, give it the value it deserves and nourish that voice so that the voice is actually providing positivity versus negativity and poison. And so it's important that you listen to podcasts, music, shows, studies, documentaries, things that actually nourish you and bring light and positivity versus listening to things that are poison. Because if you surround yourself with poison, then you might fall in the trap of becoming someone with toxic traits. And after all, the same way somebody said that one phrase, that one word, that one negative thing about you, if you aren't careful, you might be that one person that says the one negative thing about someone else. This is why we are constantly told, be the change you want to see. So if right now you're hearing negativity, I want to encourage you that I've been there. You are not alone in hearing negativity, but you do have a choice to make. And this is a very pivotal moment that if you use this moment appropriately, it can catapult you to do some amazing, amazing things. So versus trying to fight with the doubter, versus trying to fight with the naysayer and the hater and the toxic person, versus trying to fight with them, make sure that the people that are in your corner actually believe in the vision you've set forth and continue to nourish your vision. After all, when the lights are off and everyone has gone away, there's only one voice you'll be listening to. It ain't your mammies, it ain't your pappies, and it ain't even that negative person. It'll be the one inside of you.